Big Jones the Juggernaut. Welcome back to Unleashed at Sea for another episode of The Trip That Should Not Have Happened. Hope you guys have been following the series so far. So this is another installment of basically our trip on the Carnival Horizon. We're doing an 8-day cruise through the Southern Caribbean. And today was the 4th day of 8, so we're at about the halfway point. So I wanted to give you guys an update on what we did today specifically, because today was our first port of call. We actually went to Aruba today. This is the first time either of us have ever been to Aruba, and we're both pretty seasoned cruisers, like I mentioned before. We've both been on a couple of cruises here and there. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a bunch of pictures from our trip and kind of let you guys know what happened today. So first of all, the cool thing about this cruise is if you like being in the ports, and this is actually the first port we've had since we've been on the cruise. We've been on sea this entire time. This port actually lasts for over 12 hours. We got here at about 9. Yeah, we got here at about 9 in the morning. That's when it was available for us to get off the ship. And it doesn't leave until 10 o'clock tonight. And the reason that it stays so late is if you've ever been on a cruise, you know it's usually not that late. You'll get in the morning and you have to be back on the ship, around dinner time, like around 5 o'clock. The reason why this port of call is going to be so long is because the next stop is Curacao, another island, which is only 22 miles away, I found out. You can literally walk there. So that's the reason why we're actually going to be in here in this port for such a long time, because the next port is only 22 miles away, so it doesn't take that long to get to, so it's not a big deal. So that having been said, we spent a good 4 or 5 hours in Aruba today. We got off the ship in the morning. We didn't rush it. I had plenty of time. Incidentally, if you've ever been on one of these ships, like I was saying the other day, there's 4,000 people on this ship, so there's definitely no reason to rush, especially since the ship is going to be here literally all day. So if you've ever seen 4,000 people, especially 4,000 new cruisers, let's just say half of those people are brand new cruisers. Watch 2,000 people all try to get off of a cruise ship at the same time. It is fucking ridiculous. So rather than deal with that mishigas, we took our time. Like I said, you were allowed to get off the ship at around 9. I think we left at about 10:30, after breakfast. So got off the ship, and like I was saying the other day, we didn't really have a big plan in place. We were just going to kind of play it by ear, because like I said, we have all this time. We can go for as long as we want or short as we want. We can get off, come back on, go back on land, get back on the ship if that's what we want to do. Hell, we're in here right now sort of just taking a siesta, but by the time we're up and ready to roll, if we decide, hey, you know what, we want to have dinner in Aruba tonight, we can go down and just go ahead and make that happen, because we're here super late. So anyway, back to what we actually did. We got off the ship, and you go right into the duty-free area, which incidentally, the duty-free on Aruba is really bad. I'm not sure if there's multiple ports. I mean, I assume that's the only port of entry that we go into, but man, the duty-free shop, I'm gonna go ahead and say that there really wasn't a duty-free in Aruba. Like, because I know for me, when I travel, especially on cruise ships, like, I look for the duty-free. There's alcohol and cigars if you're into that, fragrances. There's all kinds of stuff that you can just get, cheaper if you go through duty free. There was really no duty free in Aruba. When we went there was really just, little knickknack kind of stuff. I mean, I actually bought this shirt from that duty free area, so it wasn't a total bust, but I mean, there was no alcohol. There's none of the regular duty-free kind of stuff that you normally see on a cruise, And in fact, it's been like that the entire time, because like I was saying, the duty-free on board isn't all that great. It's very small, and the duty-free on land was for Aruba was pretty much non-existent. There was it was really just little knick-knacky kind of stuff, just kind of stuff that you could find anywhere, like shot glasses and little kind of homemade looking jewelry and clothes and little plushies and stuff like that. Just kind of, not to be rude, but just kind of random nonsense that you could really get anywhere. Do people go across a sea, an entire ocean to get a little Batman plushie. I mean, I don't think so, that says Aruba on it, I mean, they're cute little knickknacks, but if you're a seasoned traveler, you're not looking for something like that. I'm looking for something more authentic. I'm looking for, a nice, some nice loungewear, like a nice shirt, kind of like this, or I'm looking for, like one of the things that I collect when I travel, I collect rosaries, like little beads, kind of like these that I'm wearing here. These little beads I'm wearing, stuff like that, stuff that's just a little, that I could pick up and say, hey, I got these in Aruba, or I got these in, Jamaica or Bahamas or whatever, So the duty free, like I said, wasn't that great, but it's is what it is. It's not a huge deal. It certainly didn't break our trip, but just something to be aware of if you're going to Aruba. So that having been said, we made our way out of the duty free pretty quickly. Went down to the front, and pretty much right there in front of the Port Authority, you can get on pretty much wherever you want. If you want to hire a car, or if you want to do the bus tour like we did, those are all available. They all have their signs up. If you want to do ATVs or parasailing, or just kind of hang out, do a beach day, go check out the island, all those things are available right there. We ended up finding a bus tour that looked pretty good. It was only $50. It was $25 per person, $50 for the two of us. And we got on the bus and we had a pretty good time. It was pretty, the guy up front, he had a little map out and he kind of showed, we go to these different places and it's pretty cool. It was a sightseeing tour, I mean, that's what we really like. This is a place that we haven't really been before. So let's go and check it out, and then if we see something that we want to go back and maybe try, then we can go. I mean, if we really want to, we can go back and check it out. So we get on the bus tour, and I'll say this for the bus tour, there were only really 3 stops. So I mean, I expected, it was a little bit misleading because the map that he had out there had like 8 or 9 different points on there that it was pointing out around the island, but we only stopped 3 times, and 2 of those 3 stops were only 15 minutes. So I mean, I get it, they want to have a good turnaround and make their money, but I mean, 15 minutes, it's about enough time to get off, get a drink, use the bathroom, take a picture, and then get back on. But we'll get to that. Anyway, we get on the bus, and the guy is giving us a little bit of history about the island, giving us his experience,
15 miles to the left, south, Venezuela, South America.
15 miles.
A veces cuando el tiempo está muy claro puede ver la montaña. Sometimes when the weather is clear, you see the mountain. Definitivamente hoy no, mucho nubes por ahí. Definitely not today, too much clouds.
Yeah. The guy was actually pretty interesting. He told us, how diverse Aruba was. He was telling us about how he himself is, I think, I'm probably going to screw this up, but his mother was born in St. Martin. His father was born in the Dominican Republic, and he grew up in Aruba. And then he was born in Aruba, but he kind of grew up all over. He says he's been to St. Martin, Dominican Republic, a couple other places. So pretty diverse. And he did the whole thing in English and in Spanish. He was kind of a funny guy. He told us to shut up a few times. He really wanted to make sure we understood the history and the culture of his island. He was really passionate about it because he's a couple times we're on the bus and he goes, "Hey, attention, attention, attention!" And I'm like, "Oh, whoa, shit! I'm like, okay, baby, let's shut up before he comes back here." It's like being in school again. I thought he was going to come down there and ask me to spit out my gum. So
you guys got to keep a little quiet so they can understand what I'm saying. Thank you. Aquí a la izquierda 15 millas se encuentra Venezuela.
I don't know. The guy was pretty passionate, but he had some pretty good points. He was telling us a little bit about the history and the exports. They were telling us that Aruba only has one export, and that is aloe vera. Interesting. Those aloe plants, that they put in lotions and different things like that, different products. They export aloe vera. That's the only export they have. Everything else is imported. Gas was super expensive, like $6.58 a gallon, so that's on par with California. We saw some of the lower end housing and some of the higher end housing. It can go all the way from $180,000 for a family house all the way up to, $5 million on the beach, so, which is funny to me because, you're on an island. I mean, it's like, it's all beach. I mean, I'm pretty sure Aruba is smaller than Guam, and the beaches can't be that far away. I don't know. But, hey, they're nice houses, so, hey, if you guys are interested in Caribbean real estate, go for it. But anyway, going around the island more, there's a lot of cactus on this island. That is the one thing that really kind of wigged me out. I was not expecting to see 15 different species of cactus on a Caribbean island. Although, to be fair, it is in the Caribbean, but it's only like a couple of miles away from South America. So I think Aruba might be the furthest south I've ever traveled. I'm not 100% sure if it's below the equator or not. I'd have to go back and look that up. You smart guys in there, leave it in the comments. Is Aruba below the equator or was it in the southern hemisphere? I'm not sure. But yeah, Aruba is oddly, according to this guy, outside of the hurricane zone in the Caribbean. So there's a lot of cactus. The last thing I expected to see on a Caribbean island was cactus, but there's a lot of cactus on Aruba. But anyway, we get to our first stop. And our first stop is at, I'm going to mess this up again. I apologize. Anybody from Aruba, please forgive me. Put it in the comments if I mess it up. But Kayahari Rocks. Am I saying that right, baby? Kayahari Rocks. She's taking a nap. Kayahari. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Kayahari. I'll probably go back and look at my pictures as I got a picture of it, and I'll probably get it right. But Kayahari, it's a neat little stop. Like I said, there's a little spot with guys selling some empanadas and some drinks and stuff like that. It's a neat little spot. But there's these really cool rock formations there that are they said are left over from the volcanic activity near Aruba. But you can climb them. It took me about 10 minutes to climb it. There's some stairs, but what was really cool is you actually had to climb through the rock formations. There was actually some rocks kind of piled up on top of each other, and you could climb through the rocks to get to the top. It's probably only like, 80 or 100 feet up, but pretty awesome views from up there. So that was a lot of fun to see that. A lot of great views from up there. You can see pretty much the whole island. I mean, 360 degrees, you can see all water. So that gives you an idea of how small the island is. So, like I said, that was one of those 15-minute stops, so we didn't have a lot of time. But, I think they say 15 minutes to give you a sense of urgency, so you're not just loitering around the entire time. So they know that, listen, you got to get back on the bus. We got other stuff to do. And it's another, maybe I would say 30 minutes to the next stop. That's if I had one super critical thing about that bus trip is that it is a long time between stops. So if you got to get up, stretch your legs, I got kind of a dodgy knee, so my knee was starting to hurt a little bit. It's a long time between stops. So I know they want to get to where they're going and make their money so you can get out and take your pictures and all that. But yeah, it's a while between stops. So if you got to pee even a little bit, make it happen. But anyway, the second stop we stopped at was up above the beach at a lighthouse. Again, something I wasn't expecting to find on a Caribbean island, a lighthouse. It was lighthouses for me, just being an American or being a mainlander, people get mad at me when I say American. Like, I mean from the United States, okay? I'm from the United States. That's where I'm from. Being from the United States, seeing lighthouses, those tend to be more geared towards like the East Coast, like Maine. You hear about lighthouses, or Connecticut, you hear about lighthouses. But yeah, there's a lighthouse there. It was pretty awesome. We didn't have time to climb it. That's another thing. I'm sure with 50 people on a bus, if everybody wanted to climb the lighthouse, we would be there for probably 2 hours, but he said, yeah, no climbing the lighthouse. We got to be back in 15 minutes. So, but that was enough time for us to take some pictures because it was a very beautiful view of the ocean from up there because we had a little bit of height above that. So we got some awesome pictures of the ocean. We got, some beautiful photographs of that. I took some pictures of the lighthouse. Again, there was another... Everybody gets buses and converts them into something, which is awesome, because it's like I grew up in SoCal, so food trucks are kind of a way of life. So we got a lot of stuff from converted buses that make drinks, and they make, little empanada sandwiches, little patties. If you're from the Caribbean, you'll be familiar with, Jamaican patties. They had those. They had fruit smoothies with real coconut and real mangoes, real fruit. It was really good. A little bit of Malibu rum in there, a little bit of Parrot Bay. Nothing wrong with that. You're on vacation. So that was our second stop. We got back in, and again, it was a long wait to get to our next stop. Not as long as the first two, but this one was maybe 20 minutes. And this was the good one. This was when we got down to Eagle Beach. So we get down to Eagle Beach. Here, for this tour, you have the option, okay, you can stay if you want to, and they'll come back and pick you up. So where we were, they said, yeah, we wanted to stay. We'd actually planned on that. We had our beach stuff. I had my shorts and towels and all that stuff. So we had already planned that we were going to go to the beach and we were going to stay there. So we get off. And they say, okay, they give you a little wristband. They say, yeah, okay, we'll be back at 3 o'clock to pick you up. And when he said 3 o'clock, he was not bullshitting. 3 o'clock on the dot. He was there and ready to go. These dudes are about making their money. But let me get back to Eagle Beach for a second. First of all, this beach is gorgeous. Crystal clear water, turquoise, white sand. I mean, what more could you ask for? We got a little cabana, a little umbrella, and some beach chairs. And we just lay it out. We got in the water, and this is what an anniversary is all about. Just blue water and being together, making out in the ocean, that's what it's all about, So we enjoyed ourselves like that. We were out in that water for a good hour. Incidentally, the water in Aruba is super salty. I don't know if that particular beach was in a cove or in a bay or something like that, but that water was really salty. So hydrate. Probably not the best idea when you've been drinking all day. So anyway, we stayed in the water for about an hour. We got out, and it's getting to be about lunchtime, and say, hey baby, why don't you go and see about some food. So yeah, I went out, put on my sandals, and got some, went go looking for some food, because it's down the Strand. There's all kinds of resorts and whatnot down there, but there's stuff right there on the beach. So I go to this, and this is a little bit of a critique of the Arubian people, and I try not to be too critical of a society that I know very little about. I mean, we're talking about one day here, but I did notice that the Arubian people, and it makes sense to me that they would be a little aggressive, maybe a little bit hostile, because we're talking about a Caribbean island that's right next to South America. It's right next to Venezuela. Literally right there. You could probably spit to it. In fact, when we got off the cruise at the terminal, the guy was telling us that, some days, clear days, you can see Venezuela from Aruba. That gives you an idea of how close they are to South America. So that mesh of Caribbean and Latin blood just collides, man, because, you look at these people, they are a mixed bag, man. There is black people and Asian people and Latin people. It's such an interesting melting pot. I would love to stay there for a few days and really check it out and see what these people are like. But they have really strange accents. I could not. I'm usually pretty good with accents. I usually pick up on people's accents like really quickly. I could not do an Arubian accent if you put a gun to my head right now. No freaking way. They're so different than anything I've ever heard. But getting back to the food, so I go, and there's a food truck there. All right, another bus converted into a food truck. So cool, So I ask him, no menu on it. So I'm like, hey buddy, what do you? He asked me, what can I get you? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you got? And he says, oh, we got pork chop, chicken, steak, and shrimp. I'm like, all right, one steak, one shrimp. I see they got French fries, and whatever they were cooking in there smelled amazing. So that's why I stopped, even though they didn't have, anything indicating what they were serving, So, if it's beach food, okay, whatever, cool. So, one steak, one shrimp, and I'm waiting, and there's like 20 people out there, all of whom have already ordered. And I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And it would be one thing if this guy was cranking out food, a plate goes out every few minutes, but I'm standing there for 20 minutes and no food has gone past the counter. They haven't given out anything. I've been standing there for 20 minutes, and all these people are still standing here. There was like one person that got a plate when I first got there, and they left. But I'm like, I've been standing here for 20 minutes, and there's no food. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And so I'm like, yo, my man, what's the deal? And he's like, oh, hey, man, we got one hot plate, we got one fryer, man. What do you want me to tell you? I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I want you to hurry up. Because the problem is there was like no shit. There was probably 15 or 20 styrofoam boxes stacked up on the counter. And I'm like, are those empty? I mean, because I see you putting food in them, man. Are those just the French fries? I mean, what are we doing here, man? Let's go. Come on, So I couldn't wait forever, man. It was like 2:20. I've been standing there for 20 minutes. My wife is waiting for, are you going to bring us some food or what? So I'm like, fuck this. So like, I hadn't paid yet. So I guess he's used to people not waiting for the food or getting pissed off and wanting their money back. So he didn't ask me for money right away. He just asked me for my order. So I said, look, I haven't paid you yet, so I'm out of here. There's literally a place a minute walk away. So I went down there, and, the guy was rude, but not that rude. But anyway, I go to the next place. This guy was rude. This guy was talking to a person ahead of me when I got there, and he was like just yelling about change or something. Like, how much you want back? You want 4? You want 2 back? How much do you want back? How much? How much? I'm like, whoa, jeez. I don't know if the island is frying this guy's brain or whatever. This heat is out of control. But anyway, they got to me, and I was and again, kind of aggressive. It was like, well, what you want, man? I'm like, a beer, maybe 2. He's like, what kind of beer you want? I'm like, Balashi. That's the local beer. It's called Balashi. Very good, actually, by the way. If you ever come by it in an import, Balashi, we got one Balashi Amber and one Balashi Orange and one Balashi Mango. Very good beer, by the way. And I'm not a huge beer person. Those were good, though. Definitely recommend them. But anyway, so I just get a couple of beers, and, they were... Incidentally, that kind of pissed me off a little bit because he asked, is this for here or to go? I said it's to go. You know how tall an average beer bottle is. I want to say they're 12 ounces. He gave me a paper cup that definitely was not 12 ounces. There was no way this paper cup was 12 ounces. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, are you serious, man? I'm like, is that the whole thing? He's like, yeah, it's the whole thing. I'm like, I wasn't in the mood to argue. I was like, the beer was cold. I'm like, let me just get this back to my wife so we can enjoy beer before this bus comes. So, that was just a little hiccup. Definitely not enough to ruin our day, So, whatever. Anyway, go back, we enjoy beer, play some music, enjoy the scenery, talk to a few people, get back on the bus. And like I said, the bus showed up at 3 o'clock on the dot, which shut me up because I was saying to my wife, we could probably start packing up at 3 because we've been to Guam for a year. We know all about island time. He'll probably get here at 3:45 if he said 3 o'clock. Not true. Not in Aruba. Not here. I don't know if it's because of the tourism thing or what, but man, he was there at 3 o'clock on the dot. In fact, one lady almost got left. They were screaming about, it's funny, ironically, some of the people on the bus were telling the bus driver to wait because one of their party was held up at that same food stand that I was held up at. And they were like, wait, she's waiting for her French fries. And I'm like, man, she's going to be waiting for a long-ass time because I sat there for 20 minutes and no food came out. So, so yeah, if you're ever in Aruba on Eagle Beach, stay away from that place. Everywhere else, though, was great. Everybody was perfect. Everybody was perfectly nice, perfectly chill, Everybody just kind of wants to chill and have fun. But there is sort of a lack. I mean, if I had to give one critique of Aruba, there does seem to be a lack of signage. We went at the lighthouse. We went to, like I said, we got some smoothies with, real fruit and everything. And apparently you order at one place and pay you order from one window and pay at another window, which to me didn't seem very smart because what's to stop somebody from just walking off? And because if there's 30 people standing around, how can you tell who's who? I don't know. It didn't seem like a great idea. But anyway, we go to the pay line and we say, yeah, we got our drinks. And then he, said, oh, what kind of drinks you got? Oh, we have a mango and a coconut. So he brings us a mango and a coconut. Like, no, bro, we already got them right here. Like, oh, okay. So what do you guys want? I'm like, we want to pay for. What the fuck is going on right now? We want to pay for them, dude. We're trying not to just take your shit and leave. I don't know. Signs, people. Sign. A little, not even a sign, man. Just take a fucking magic marker and a piece of paper and write the shit down. Pay this way, you know? I don't know. But again, beautiful island, really nice people, nice tour. If you're going to take that bus tour, by the way, like I was saying, be ready for some long waits. Again, only 3 stops, but it was just the right pace for us. I think if we had more stops than that, I mean, I wouldn't have minded more stops, but I mean, there's honestly not that much to see. I mean, I mean, maybe the Balashi Brewery. I mean, I don't know. I think we hit some good points. We really just wanted to see what the place looked like, and I think we got that done. And if you want to come check out Aruba with us, like, share, and subscribe to BJBL Unleashed on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram while you're at it, and I will see you guys next time for more Unleashed.